What have you guys learned was the cause of that now that you've had a chance to kind of do the full investigation?
The fire was started by it was a chimney fire, and it was one of those events where there was a lot of wind, and embers got onto the roof and started a roof fire.
Obviously, Timberline is a historic place. It's on the national list. Um, what does a fire do to that? Like, what could a fire, if it wasn't or wasn't, taken care of at the time, what would have happened to Timberline Lodge?
The way that building is constructed with all the different types of wood from local sources around here, that building, without the efforts of the firefighters and staff from ROK that work up there at Timberline Lodge, like there was a lot of, with the sprinkler systems, with the hoses and everything, they did exactly what they needed to do in a very timely manner. But yeah, if it would have burned down, it's to me, it's one of those national historic treasures that is irreplaceable because of the work that was done in the 1930s to construct it.
Restoration was done late summer, early fall. What went into the restoration process, and what did you guys have to repair?
Yeah, so they did a full inspection of all the rafters inside the roof and the underlayment and all the shingles. And it took a lot of engineers and highly specialized contractors to do that work to really understand the integrity of the wood that was affected by the fire, identifying exactly what needed to be replaced and initially we even had to make sure that everything was tarped properly to make sure that no more moisture, no more of the weather elements were getting into the lodge until the repairs could be properly done. So it took a whole team effort, very specialized contractors to do the work, engineers to do the inspections, ensure that the roof was safe after being repaired, and like the specialized contractors to, because it's a national historic structure, that it had to be repaired and to follow those guidances of a national historic structure.
Talk about that for a second. How do you, you know, basically follow blueprints or the lack there of blueprints for something that was built, almost 100 years ago?
Yeah, it has to keep within the historic or look and feel of that and maintain that historic integrity. And we do have the designs. We know exactly what the material was used to construct Timberline Lodge and have to exactly replicate that using 36-inch shingles, cedar shingles, and everything to the T to make sure that we maintain that historic integrity.
How do we prevent this from happening again? Is there anything that we can do?
We were doing, everything that we are supposed to be doing. Just like any chimney, having it inspected, make sure that there's spark arresters, all those kind of things. We did have inspect or state fire marshal and investigators up there immediately when the fire was just immediately put out. There was areas closed so that, just in case, so the inspectors got a chance to see everything and do all the inspections, do the full investigation, ask people questions to figure out exactly what happened before any of the cleanup started. And then as areas got cleared, there were staff up there immediately soaking up all the water because there's thousands and thousands of gallons of water put on the fire to extinguish it. And so there was furniture and flooring and walls, roof, everything was just covered in water. It was really impressive when I got up there about at 10 o'clock, 10:30, and right when it was extinguished, there was water coming down everywhere through the floors to through from the top floor all the way down.
All right, let me ask you then about your night. What did you experience and kind of give me your timeline?
Yeah, I can't remember the exact timeline, but I was headed to bed. I was out walking my dog for the evening, heading to bed, and my fire management officer here at ZigZag gave me a call, and I looked at my phone. I was like, "Oh no." if he's calling me at this time of night, something's going bad. And immediately said, there's fire coming out of the rafters of the roof of Timberline Lodge. I'm heading up there right now. And I immediately sent out a message to a force supervisor, and she immediately responded, like, I'm heading up there, and I'm heading, and then I said, I'm heading up there too. And we got up there as fast as we could. And as soon as I got up there, the fire was essentially extinguished. Fire trucks everywhere. It was a pleasant night from where I was walking my dog. When I got up to Timberline, it was freezing cold with 30, 40 mile per hour winds, probably in the 20s. All that water that came off the roof and that was in the parking lot, it was super slippery out there because it turned to instantly into ice. It was really dark. A lot of people running around with flashlights, and there was water pouring through the floor. Immediately talking with firefighters, the um, and other Forest Service investigators, my supervisor, the forest supervisor, just to like really figure out what was going on, who was doing what, and what we could do, and start essentially organizing immediately for how we can make sure that the historic artwork and the structure was preserved, and what we needed to do, what were the immediate next steps, who was doing what, when, and how.
I was going to ask you about that. I know that, Timberline Lodge is filled with artifacts and historic photos and stuff. How did you guys kind of make the determination of what you could immediately grab and then what could kind of stay?
Over the years, between the Forest Service, Timberline Lodge, State Historic Preservation Office, Friends of Timberline have all organized to come up with a plan. So there is a historic artwork preservation plan that is in place that employees up there are trained on. And as soon as there was a fire announced, there were ROK employees immediately putting out the fire, evacuating the hotel, and other employees were immediately following the historic preservation plan to protect the artwork.
All right, kind of last question for you. What did we learn from this fire and how can we apply it going forward?
The thing that I definitely learned from this fire was that the amount of partnerships and collaboration that we did in the past prior to the fire really shone through that night. Having the ROK employees, Forest Service staff, from the forest supervisor to our fire management officer, the work he's done collaborating with local fire departments in the area, our law enforcement, everybody coming together and responding in a very quick and effective way, from extinguishing the fire, preserving the historic artwork, the safety of the guests in the hotel, and safely getting them out safe without any injuries and anything, really proved that our partnership is amazing. And immediately the outpouring from the public and from our other partners to get things heading in the right direction, to get everything cleaned up, make sure everything was preserved, and to get to that historic integrity of this super important historic landmark. And so I guess just the collaboration during the event and everything for the months all the way until it was fully restored through the end of into the fall of 2024. It really is a remarkable partnership between Timberline Lodge, ROK, Friends of Timberline, and the Forest Service.
Greg, is there anything else you want to tell our viewers about, what has happened at Timberline since that night?
I guess the one thing that I learned is that how much people in the state of Oregon really loves this national treasure that is Timberline Lodge. Just the immediate outpouring from the public. We were getting so many people from the public that were saying like, "Hey, my specialty is repairing historic structures. How can I volunteer? How can I help? How can I donate?" Immediately, the next that first morning too, we had volunteer Forest Service staff immediately like, whatever I'm doing right now, how can I help? And so we had people from our supervisor's office, from the Clackamas River Ranger District office, Hood River District office, and the ZigZag Ranger District office all volunteered to help start cleaning things up. And so internally within the Forest Service and from the public, the outpouring of people willing to volunteer to donate money, whatever they could do to help restore this historic landmark